Hi everyone, my name is Fabiana from Creative Yarn, and in today's tutorial I'm going to show you how to make this beautiful Fair Isle beanie on a Sentro 48 knitting machine. Fair Isle is a technique that originated in Scotland, in the small isle of Fair Isle in Shetland, and it was made public by King Edward VIII in the 19th century. I'm gonna put actually a picture of him wearing the first sweater that was made public using this technique. This technique's one of my favorites to make on a Sentro machine, just because I think the results so beautiful and you can make so many geometrical patterns. Then I'm gonna show you soon how you can make your own. And also there is a few apps you can add on your computer to make your own geometrical patterns for this. And I'm gonna show you one of the apps that I use to make this. A really easy app, and you just choose the colors and you can make your own geometrical patterns. I'm gonna show you the app here now so you can install on your computer, and then you can just export these geometrical patterns that you make, or you can just leave them open and follow as you go. Okay, during this tutorial I'm gonna share the pattern right next to what I'm making so you guys can easily see that as well. Okay, and so for this pattern I'm gonna be using almost 100 grams of the main color, which is this one. As you can see, the inside is solid, is not patterned. And then I'm going to be using just around, you only need, if you can get a 40 grams ball like we can here, you can get that, or you can just use yarn scraps like I'm using here, because you don't really need much. Okay, at the end of this tutorial I'm also gonna share how to make this pom-pom that I made. I bought a new tool for it, and I'm gonna share the video. That's gonna be the next video after that, so you can make your pom-poms at home. This tool makes it very easy. Okay, other than that, you're gonna need your Sentro 48, you're gonna need darning needle, and that's about it, guys. So let's dive into it and make this beautiful beanie today. So the first thing to do to make the pattern that you're gonna need to do is actually count the number of rows you have available to make your Fair Isle. So the brim will come up like this a little bit on the front. So what you have is from here to here, and I actually counted around 32 rows. Okay, 32 rows, because here you're gonna have a few rows just simple because you have to cinch this. Okay, so we won't really show the pattern here. So that's what you roughly have available to make this pattern. Okay, the second thing, and then all the rest we are going to make solid. The brim's gonna be solid and this is gonna be solid. So I chose this pattern here that I'm going to put here because it's a very easy pattern. It only has a lot of color changes and it actually look really cool, and I wanted to actually use my yarn scraps that I have from other projects, and this is Fair Isle is amazing for that. So guys, during this video and in the chart, I just want to show you here. So each one of the chart squares, it's one needle or one stitch. Okay, so when you're counting, you're gonna count a square as a stitch. Okay, because so you know how to use the drawings that I'm showing here. Okay, it's this way. Each square refers to one little V. So I'm going to be using for this project my Sentro 48 to make a large beanie for adults, and I'm going to be using these colors of scrap yarn. You can choose your own colors. I chose that because it's similar to the pattern that I chose. Okay, and then you can make a chart for your pattern as well, or you can grab some charts, and I'm gonna show you here on Pinterest how to search for it. Okay, now when you're searching for a pattern, you have to be aware that you can only skip a maximum of 4 stitches because the nature of these machines, they make an actually very stretched, like when it comes out from the machine, it's stretched like this, which makes Fair Isle a little difficult because once it unstretches, the loops that we leave on the back of the work to make the Fair Isle, they are very loose at the end, okay? So because it's stretched and unstretches, they're gonna look really loose on the back. So because of that, you can only jump 4 stitches at a time, which means that you're gonna have patterns that only have a maximum of 4 stitches, changing from one color to another, which I'm gonna show you here in this pattern. So aim for that, always aim for that when you're working Fair Isle on your Sentro machine, that you're gonna skip from 1 to 4 stitches only, okay? 5 is already a lot, and you're gonna see that your stitches are gonna look a little loose when you unstretch when you just stress your knitting. Okay, because it's gonna go from this to this, and then the loops on the backs, they're gonna be like really loose, okay, which is gonna make the stitches on the front look funny as well. So be aware of that. I chose mine here, the pattern that I chose today. It only skips 2 stitches at a time, so I'm going to work with 2 colors on the same row, and I'm going to have loops on the back to work the 2 colors, okay? And that's gonna be each 2 stitches I'm going to be changing colors, which is perfect for these machines, okay? So let's get into it and start this pattern. I'm going to put the pattern here on the side so you guys can follow as well. And I'm going to start with this color here. And with this gray color, I'm going to work the 4 rows, a few rows on the beginning. I'm guessing like 3 rows, because you can see, you can't really see the rows on the top. So I'm going to start making 3 rows with this gray color. So cast on your stitches on the tube mold of your Sentro machine. And then put the row counter back to 0 so you know the number. And then I'm going to be making 3 rows with the gray color. So I made my 3 rows here, and now I'm going to add the white, make one with white and another one with gray. So to do that, I'm simply gonna remove this yarn here, make sure it goes through the last needle here, remove this yarn, and then I'm going to add the next color. So all I'm doing here is just a stripe of white to start this pattern, and then I'm gonna make another row with the gray, so I'm not gonna cut this yarn, okay? I'm gonna show you how you can do that easy. Just make sure this is tied here. Then add the white and 1 row with the white. Okay, finish this 1 row and then put the gray back. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of twist this yarn here this way, seeing how it's like this, and then we're gonna start using the gray again, and just leave the yarn attached because we are going to start to make our first Fair Isle with the white, okay? So we're gonna be making one row now with the gray. And go with the gray all the way to the white peg, okay, which is the first peg. I use this one, but you can use the next one. There's no difference. And now we're going to start working, so open the yarn a bit, because we are going to start working our Fair Isle. And so what's gonna happen is, one strand of the yarn, one color is gonna be on the back, and the other color is gonna be inside the hooks, okay? So we're gonna be working with the two of them, and I like to actually work like this with my fingers and just swap them. So open, make sure you have a fair bit of yarn here to work. So I'm going to put, for my first exchange of these colors, I'm going to put the gray through 2 needles. And then once I made the 2 needles, all I'm going to do is I'm going to swap the colors like this. Make sure you make this a little tight, okay? Otherwise, as I said, these are the loops that are gonna stay on the back. So they have to be kind of tight. Otherwise, when you remove the project from the machine, that loops are gonna be very loose on the back, okay? So make sure they are tight, and that's the best way to do is with your fingers instead of using the tension guide here, okay? So put through, I have 2 here, and I'm going to make 2 with the white. And then 2 with the gray. As you can see here, those loops are very wide, so pull them. And then 2 with the white, 2 with the gray. I didn't make this Fair Isle much, okay, so I'm like you guys, I'm just, you know, making an experience. I like to experiment with these things different things on my knitting machine and show you guys how it can be made as well. So I'm going really slow, like you would if you were making your first time, okay? Then 2. The order of the yarn doesn't matter much, okay? The order, like if you pull on the top or on the bottom. It's good if you keep this untangled. It is a much slower beanie to make, but the results are really nice, and I think it's really like, you know, like I showed you guys on that 50 beanies to make, to have a different style made on your, even if you're selling on markets or something, you know, it's great to have something with a little more stylish that you can add bigger, higher price to it as well. I'm talking here and I hope I didn't make any mistakes. As you go through the stitches, you get more used to it. And then it gets more easy as well. Now here, I didn't even realize, guys, this is going for so long now, this video. Now, The second row, we're making a second row because it's gonna be kind of checkered. And the second row, we need to have, and it actually goes straight away to the right place, so you don't really need to worry that much. So where you have the white before, as you can see here, both of my loops are white. See, I have 2 white loops here. So where you had white on the row before, the row prior, you're gonna have white again, okay? And where you had gray, you're gonna have gray again to make the checkerboard design, okay? And then I'm going to put this yarn on the back here through 2 stitches, because I already made this one, and then underneath here and inside the yarn guide, because now I'm going to be working, make sure this last row, this last needle grabs that yarn properly. Make sure the yarn's inside the hook as it is there, and then place this gray underneath this lip here, and then we're going to make now a full row with the gray. I can probably, let me see, I can remove the white now, because we're going to be changing to another color. So this is my pattern here. As you can see, the gray goes from here to here. Here you can see better, I had gray here, and now I'm going to have gray here. So you have to be aware that where you had the gray before, which is here in these 2 first loops, 2 first needles, we had gray. Now we are going to have the other color. So I'm going to add this color here. What is great about this is that you can use yarn scraps. So the 2 first loops I'm going to be making with this color. And then I'm going to repeat 2 rows of exactly what we did before, okay? So add the color and then make the 2 first needles with the color, and then start swapping to make this next checkerboard change of colors. So that you have the stitch in there, put the gray on the back there, and then swap for the next 2. As you can see, my yarn, this one's a little more thin. You can do that too. And then keep repeating that, repeat this for 2 rows again, okay? It's good to, it's better to make this with a lot of patience than make a mistake, okay? Because this is gonna be really hard to undo, and so you have to really pay attention to what you're doing when you do Fair Isle. So now I'm starting the second row, and I'm gonna make 1 more row, and then I'm gonna show you guys the next rows, but you can easily follow this pattern, so this video is not too long. This is gonna be I'm gonna be making 30 rows of this checkerboard design now. Just changing the colors exactly like I showed to you before. And then I'm gonna be making a brim with one color only. Now I finished the row with my 2 checkerboard rows. And now I have I'm on the first stitch here. Okay, that's where I started, on the white. And now what I'm going to do is change the colors because I want a row with this color as well, like I made a row with the white. So I'm going to do exactly what I did before. I'm going to pull from here to here, put underneath this piece here, and into the yarn guide to make one row with this color. Okay, make sure that last needle grabs the gray color, and then we're going to make a full row with this color here. Okay, last peg, the first one is this one, and then now we can just cut this yarn here. We have made a bigger loop, and then put this yarn underneath here and inside the yarn guide to work with the gray again. So we want, after the checkerboard, we want a gray row, a row with the color that we just used, and another gray row. That's what I'm doing now to start with the next checkerboard color. And now I'm going to just make that row with the white. So the gray, it's always gonna be, the gray is gonna be here and here, here and here. So it's not gonna be on top of the gray we had before. So before we had the color here. As you can see, I'm using the color, this last color here in these 2 first pegs. So now I'm going to have the gray on the first 2 pegs. And then I'm going to add the white. In this very next peg here. And then just make these 2 stitches very slowly. You don't need to be in a hurry to do this. And then change to the gray. And then so do the checkerboard now. 2 checkerboard lines, rows, and then 1 gray, and then the checkerboard with the next color, okay? Until you reach, I have 11 rows now, so I'm gonna be doing a few more. Maybe I'll be able to use the red. Also, while making it, I like to grab the yarn like this, just to keep my tension tight, so the yarn has to go through all my fingers, and that keeps the tension of my yarn tight. Because it will be almost impossible with this yarn guide to work with that, to work this tension right, okay? So that's the way I do the tension. So here's my work now. I have 28 rows, and just to make one, to finish this a little different than what the pattern is, I'm going to be making 1 stitch with the white and 1 with the gray, okay? So 1 gray, 1 white, 1 gray, 1 white, 1 gray, 1 white, 1 gray, 1 white. It's always good to keep your fingers close to the work, I think. 1 gray, 1 white, 1 gray, and 1 white. Okay, finish with one gray, then you can cut the white. And then make a full row with the gray. And then change the color to make choose the color to make your brim now. So after this is what it looks like now. We are going to deal with this later, you know, just so we can choose which ones are best to make knots with, like this and this, you know. I prefer to do this later just to see on the back of the work or on the front of the work if it looks good or not. And now I'm making 120 rows for this beanie, okay? So I'm gonna be using only the same color, but if I was to make the brim in a different color than the inside of the beanie, I would probably make 50 rows now and an extra, so 50 plus 30 is 80, and an extra 40 rows on the back to make the inside of the beanie in another color, okay? So I made here 120 rows. And as you can see, my row counter skipped a few rows, so I had to count. I need a new row counter. Anyway, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to make knots with the tails that are close by to each other, like this. Just make knots. Let's get all the ones that are close to each other. Make sure you pull them a bit so they're tied on the outside. And make knots in every one you can. See if it's looking good from the outside. As I said before, the loops might be a little loose. But when you put on your head, it's actually gonna stretch, so it should be fine. And then what I like to do, let's see this one, this one's fine on the back. So what I would like to do is just pull this way and just make a knot like this. You can even make 2 knots if you want, just to secure it. And then you can, with the same color, just make sure you pass through the same color. See if the front's nice. And that's what you're gonna do with the ones that are not close by to, like these ones, far away from the rest. So I can't really make a knot, tie a knot with this tail with anything else. So, and then you can cut after this, because this is gonna be inside the layer anyway. So I removed, and that's what I have. I'm going to cinch one side so it's closed and secured. This is gonna be the inside of the beanie. And because I actually didn't make knots in all the tails, I'm just gonna finish all these tails before I go to the next step, okay? So just finish all the tails, make sure it looks neat on the outside before you cinch the other side, okay? I'm just going to cinch the other end. So there you go, guys. This is, oh, look how pretty it is on the video image. This is our beanie. I'm still going to make, because I bought this tool to make pom-poms, and I'm going to make a pom-pom to add. So guys, again, as always, leave me your like, subscribe to my channel. I'm always sharing nice patterns to make on your Sentro knitting machines. Okay, I do have a free beanie size guide on my website, knittingmachinepatterns.com, that you can have a look there if you want to make different sizes of beanies, like for kids and babies. And this is our tutorial for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it and have a great week. Thank you all for watching.